morning all, how are we doing? Good morning. Why is my chat stuck again? It does this every now and again. I can't scroll up. Morning, Martin, Virginia, JC, Evil, Baggy, Adrian, Monkey, Gregor, Steve, Amy, how are we all doing? Kennelly, morning. Just going through the news. Just wanted to look at this UK news we had yesterday. I didn't see this. Came in yesterday afternoon. Very interesting. Morning, it's time, Peter. So we've got potential now of an interest rate drop in July. I didn't read this properly yesterday when I saw it. I did actually see it fly past, but I didn't actually see what it said. I just saw rate swaps and cuts, and I just ignored it. But priced in by August the 1st, 58 by December the 19th. So basically what they're saying is a 0.25% cut by August the 1st, which actually means July. So where we've been looking at September, August, maybe for the UK, it now seems like July, which actually makes the pound a little bit more bearish than I anticipated. So I suspect this is why we're getting this drop in the we've had this drop in the pound. So we've had 2 days worth of quite substantial drop, and I was trying to figure out why. And it's basically, it seems to me that they're actually looking to bring the date forward now to July. So we're looking at June for the euro and now July for the pound. So the Eurozone going way before America, which is not the norm. But anyway, so yeah, missed that yesterday. But anyway, definitely want to be bearish pound and euro now. Morning, Franco. Morning, Daniel. So yeah, we'll have a look at that in a bit more detail in a bit. This morning, we've got the PMIs. So we'll look at the rest of the news in a minute. We've had some more news from Japan this morning again. But yeah, we've got the French PMIs coming out at 8:15. We've got the German PMIs coming out at 8:30. They make up the Eurozone PMIs. So this is why this one is orange, because it's made up the vast majority of it by these two. So once you got those, you know what the answer to that one is. So those are this morning up until 8:30. And then at 9:30, we've got the pound version of the PMIs. So these are basically manufacturing version of CPI, basically. So inflationary figures for business. And then this afternoon, we've got the US PMIs as well. So important day today, the most important day pretty much of the week, apart from obviously Friday for the Bank of Japan. But for the rest of the world, it's today. So this could kickstart some big moves off today, depending if we get decent numbers. So the forecasts on all of this, most of it, as you can see, I think, in fact, all of it, well, pretty much, is for these to have gone up. So we know CPI has gone up for the US. It's doing okay for the rest of the world. But they are expecting these to have slightly bounced. So if these numbers come out lower than forecast, that will add to these bearish movements potentially today. So could be quite an impactful day today, but we'll see what happens. So those are your news events today. We got new home sales and stuff later at 3 o'clock, which doesn't tend to do an awful lot. So that's the news. And then tomorrow overnight, we've got the Aussie CPI numbers. So Australian dollar could well get a big kick tomorrow. Again, they're expecting a small bounce. Everybody else hasn't necessarily got what they've wanted, have they, with the CPI numbers? So we may not get that bounce. I'm kind of hoping that it drops. I'm kind of hoping it drops a lot because I want the Aussie short. So that's overnight. So we need to watch out for that. So the rest of the news overnight, we haven't had a great deal. BlackRock have come out and said that they reckon the Fed can still cut twice this year. The Fed have come out and said they may not cut until next year. Some in the Fed have said they're definitely going to cut this year. Some have said that they might put the interest rates up. just can't read anything into the US. Nobody has a clue what the US is doing, so ignore everything to do with the US at the moment until the Fed actually give us something concrete. It's absolute mystery, the US dollar at the minute. It's impossible to say anything about it because it could do absolutely anything. So, yeah, more news about the Fed, but about the US, but doesn't really help us. And the main news this morning, Bank of Japan, again, this morning came out. Where the hell is it? Katayama, recent yen falls are excessive and out of line with fundamentals. Japan authorities could intervene to prop up the yen at any time. So again, more talk from Japan about doing this intervention. This, I think, is the first time that somebody has come out and said properly they could intervene, rather than saying the usual, we're watching everything closely, it's undesirable, we don't like it. This is the first time someone's come out and said they could intervene, i.e. press that nuke button and get that yen moving. So this is good news, but we haven't really had anything happen after they say it. They say it all the time, don't they? But they're not actually doing anything about it. So if you look at the yen, yesterday, we broke the highs again yesterday. So all-time high went in yesterday by an absolute smidgen. You see this black line is last week's high. Just pushed our head above it. And then this morning we got pushed back down again. But you can see the price action yesterday. It's just so tight. There is no movement. They're not willing to make any sharp moves against this yen. And it's getting scary. The higher and higher we go, the scarier and scarier it gets for anybody to press that long button. So I pressed the short button again this morning, just because we had that news. So I've added one more this morning because I think there's a high probability that that button will get pressed very soon. And if it doesn't get pressed very soon as we get the next US announcement that is negative, PMIs this afternoon, potentially, we could start a normal price action move down. So by normal price action move, I mean a normal, usual profit take dip, which is where I got out of that last one, where we went sideways forever. So yeah, we will see. But yeah, I've added another short in this morning. I won't hold it too long. I don't think, if it does decide to push today. But if it decides to push today, this one, in fact, there's absolutely perfect. Look. So if we crack that 155 level, I don't want to be in it. So stop above 155. I don't want to be in anymore if I'm in 155 or higher. So there we go. Morning, Neo. Morning, Gina. Morning, Daniel. Morning, Franco. I've said hello to everybody else. So yeah, there we go. So that's overnight news. There's nothing much else on the cards today. So we're waiting for that 8:15 news event, which comes out in 6 minutes. There's no ADRs today. Dead. I wouldn't expect anything to move today. I'm not trading indices at all today. I will open the index platform, though, because it's worth having a look at what happens to the DAX this morning with these Euro announcements. So you tend to get quite a tight range before news. So market opens at 8 o'clock. First news is 8:15. There's absolutely no reason for the market to do anything much before 8:15. So don't tend to do opening range breakout trades when we've got tight... when we've got news coming at the open. So there's your open there. So pre-market, you've broken long. Pre-market, you've broken... Actually, that was the pre-market candle. So, yeah, a bit of no liquidity. Look, we got gaps appearing and all sorts of stuff. So, not good to trade pre-market. Pre-news, rather. Morning, Sarah. So that's your ADRs today. There aren't any. There's no weeklies. We've obviously had some monthlies hit, but nothing on the weeklies so far. It is only Tuesday, so RSI's, the only thing really extended is the pound at the moment. So the pound CAD, I've got a couple of positions on that. I took an entry on the pound CAD yesterday on the RSI extension, and obviously it completely collapsed again yesterday. So I was just basically playing, you can see where my TP is. I was just basically playing a gap fill. And we collapsed again yesterday. So got a second added on yesterday, and we haven't gone anywhere so far today. So obviously we've got news today on the euro, news on the pound. We've got news on the US dollar, which potentially will affect the CAD as well. So there's a lot of news catalysts for this today, and it could go either way. But I took this trade yesterday before I saw that news about potential pound rate drop coming in July, which is earlier than I was anticipating. So ideally want to be short bias on these things, but we will wait and see. So yeah, so we'll look through these. How long we got? 3 minutes. I'm not going to go through every pair today because we went through those yesterday. So if there's anything specific you want to look at, obviously let me know. But pound CAD obviously is the extension at the moment on the 4 hour. So that's really massively extended on the 4 hour. Down below the 20 level. Fantastic buy spots. Watch that area there, potentially on the way back up, but obviously we could just do a V-shaped recovery. So that's massively extended on the hourly as well. The pound odd, so everything obviously pound has been dropping for 2 days solid. So we've just undone all of that rallying that we had for the last 2 weeks. Boom, undone the lot in 2 days basically. So lovely M pattern there. Obviously, until he got to there and that reversal alert went in, you didn't know it was an M pattern. But yeah, beautiful trade. But we're at support now, so we might get the bounce out of here with the limit orders triggering here. Whether or not we then go into market structure short or we put a V-shaped recovery in, we'll have to wait and see. Pound New Zealand, again, same thing. Beautiful drop down into the 72. So bounce straight off the 72 moving average. So that should back up if we're in a trend, but obviously there's a good possibility now this is going to turn tail and run. So there's your reversal alert on the 4 hour and the retest. So this could well now be the start of a move back down. Euro pound, huge extension to the upside on the 4 hour. So that got above the 80 level. Again, that came down yesterday. So we started that drop. There's your reversal alert there. Nice M pattern there as well. So we'll see. Obviously, this is all going to be affected by news today. It's all about the PMIs all morning. So this one could go either way today. Euro CAD also extended on the 4 hour to the downside. So potentially looking for a pullback on that leg. And you've got CAD yen, which is extended to the upside. As we know, all the yen pairs hugely underwater at the moment. But fingers crossed that they actually do something about this and do an intervention. And if they do, we'll be down here by the end of the day, if they were ever to do it. Morning ago, sir. So we'll watch what's not moving at the moment. We've got 20 seconds. Watch Euro pound, I guess. Let's watch Euro US dollar and see how we go with the news. So this is the French PMIs, 8:15. And then we got the German at 8:30. So numbers potentially look bullish. Big old spread. Far away is my average within ADR. That's good. I'm long on Euro US dollar at the moment. Not a lot of movement there. So one positive, one negative. So that's quite a big hit, actually. 48.9 was the forecast. We got a 50.5, and 46.9 was the forecast, and we got a 44.9. So pretty much equidistant. That one as bullish as that one is bearish. So neutral news. So just a little bit of a whipsaw off of that. So we'll have to wait and see if we get anything from the German numbers. German numbers arguably are more important because they are bigger economy, mainly because of motor, but we will see. No real movement off of that at all. So just a little spike. We just had some more news coming from Japan. Japanese business lobby, whatever it's naming. Kaidenren chair, Tokuru. The yen is too weak given Japan's economic fundamentals. So again, everybody, we all know this. Yeah, stop talking about it and get the Bank of Japan to press the button. Yeah, a bit more news there. So they're obviously talking about it a lot in lots of circles in Japan. But there'll be pressure on the Bank of Japan to do something about it because it's getting out of hand. It's well out of hand already. So no movement there really. Slightly bullish euro by the looks of things, but ever so slight. So obviously ADR is all the way up there. So, you know, not a big move at all. But if we get the German numbers coming out positive, that will help. So ideally, what I would love today is a nice big rally to 125 ADR up to there so I can get out of my euro US dollar longs. And then I want to flip short on it, basically, because I want to be short this euro. And there's a good chance these US dollar numbers might come out slightly bullish. We've had a bounce in CPI. So there's a good chance we might get a bounce in the PMI figures as well, which will obviously be bullish US dollar, which will drive this down. So it'd be lovely if we can get some decent German numbers to get a 125 ADR hit today so I can get out of the trade. And then I want to be short on this, but we've got this massive propulsion gap we might come and test as well. So we'll see. Right, so there's your euro, first euro news. Slightly more bullish against the Aussie. About to get a reversal alert on the Euro CAD. They just swept yesterday's low as well. No movement on Euro Swiss. Euro pound pushing a little bit. Again, Euro yen, look. Yesterday, we tried a new high. So you can see these weeklies. Yeah, this is a really good indication, the Euro yen. You got the 3-week high, the 2-week high, and the last week high, all within that much room. Yeah, so the whole 3 weeks worth of highs within 25 pips. That's less than a quarter of an ADR. Stuck, not going through that level. Really stuck. So again, any upward movement there is just going to put more pressure on the Bank of Japan. So it'd be lovely if we can get a rally out the euro today. Certainly looks like it's trying. Typical euro US dollar is the one that isn't going anywhere because I'm in it. So looking for a baseline breakout basically here, just to test whether we can get above that high. So if we just wanted to break that high and test this area basically to see if the sellers are going to hold the price down, that's all I want. Test to that area, then I'm off. What do you think about Aussie dollar, US dollar? We'll have a look at that. So next news is in 10 minutes. If there's any pairs you want to look at, let me know. Aussie dollar, US dollar, pretty stuck at the minute. I mean, it's just the story of the world at the moment, isn't it? Everything is just stuck. So intraday, there's an argument at the moment for dropping down to M15 and taking M15 RSI extensions and just trying to scalp quarter of an ADR out of everything because that's literally all you can do at the moment. So yeah, it's stuck. Been stuck for 5 days down here. Aussie dollar, US dollar, potentially. This is the PMI numbers. Sorry, the CPI numbers for US 2 weeks ago. So obviously since then, we know that the US dollar is unlikely to be putting its rates down anytime soon, which makes it slightly more bullish. Aussie had a little bit of a contraction with the New Zealand dollar news, but the Aussie's not really bullish or bearish. So this will get pushed around by the US dollar. So you can kind of look at this as it's the US dollar. What's the US dollar doing? If it's bullish, it's dropping. If it's bearish, it's going to rise. So you're kind of driven by US here. I had a little trade there with an exit, which was basically a play back up into propulsion, but got out fairly quick, as I'm getting out of everything fairly quick at the minute because nothing's really going anywhere, which is good. And then obviously it's dropped down. So I presume if you got in there and you're still long on it and didn't get out, you'll be in potentially 3 trades with an average somewhere in there. So again, it's just going to depend on what happens with the US dollar. It's either going to come and retest propulsion, i.e. we're going to get some weak US dollar numbers, or not. But it's going to, basically the US dollar is not going to get any more indication as to which direction it's going until we get the next CPI release. So if you look at what we've got coming up and when for the US, your next CPI numbers are the 15th of May. So realistically, that's the first indication we're going to get of when the Fed may change interest rates moving forward. So there's not really anything that's going to affect that Fed decision until we get the next CPI numbers. The PMI numbers are important, but they feed CPI. Yeah. So when manufacturing and services businesses costs go up, our prices go up, which drives CPI up. So this is kind of the leading indicator for CPI, but CPI is the one that we're interested in because that's the one that controls the interest rates. So unemployment claims and stuff like that isn't really going to do an awful lot to the Fed's decision-making process. Obviously, we've got the rate announcement coming out beginning of May, but we know that's not changing. So that press conference, they aren't going to say anything in there really until they know what's happening with those CPI numbers. So I can't really see any movement on direction, bullish or bearish, until middle of May. So until then, it will be pushed around by news, but I can't really see it going. It's, this is what we're going to get until we get the next announcement of news. Sit around. Next announcement of news will go one way or the other, but that's all we got at the moment. So there we go. Not a lot else you can do with that, really. GU will be bullish. Well, it depends on the news, doesn't it? So you'll find out at 9:30. Oh, unless you're telling me. So you know someone in the Bank of England, you know what the number's going to be, do you? If you do, let me know, because I'd really like to know. I don't know if you're asking a question or you're telling me what's going to happen today, but good luck if that's what you think. Go for it. So yeah, 9:30 we've got the news. So you'll find out at 9:30 whether or not we're going to get a bullish or a bearish pound today, and then you'll find out 2:45 whether we're going to get a bullish or a bearish US dollar. So yeah, it could go either way. But we've had a nice drop out of the propulsion on the pound US. This is what I keep talking about. Yeah, news. This is it. So what moves the market? 9:30, we've got news. 2:45, we've got news. Yeah, so we'll go somewhere today, if that news is obviously doing anything. We've got 5 minutes until the next release. Morning, Chucks. Morning, New George. US dollar Swiss. Yeah, I'm on US dollar Swiss. So short US dollar Swiss at the moment. My average is awful on this because I got out of all those positions on Friday by accident. Didn't mean to, but I did. So yeah, got out of the all the shorts on Friday. So I'm in again at the moment, trying to get this average back up. So the average is in a good spot at the moment, 200 ADR. Obviously, would love it to be much closer so I can get out of these lows, but it's not. It is what it is. So I'm looking for a retest of propulsion. So looking for those PMIs to come out negative personally this afternoon. But again, news, nothing. News, nothing. Safe haven run, nothing. So yeah, we're waiting for the news. But yeah, fundamentally, it's kind of a long versus whatever the hell happens in Middle East, isn't it, at the moment? But the Swissy, the US should be stronger than the Swiss franc, definitely. So unless we get a massive run of bad numbers for the US, which will obviously cause it to drop over and over again, unless we get a run of bad numbers, if we get as expected or even slightly bullish or just around about expected, don't expect anything more than coming down to those lows or potentially just sitting around at those highs for until the 1st of May, which isn't far away, is it? So Fitch affirms Japan as A outlook stable, more bullish yen. Come on, guys, buy the bloody yen. What's wrong with you? Going the wrong way. Right, 3 minutes to go. So we'll watch Euro US again. So let's see if we can get a second pump on this Euro US. Sorry, massive thirst on this morning for some reason. I bought some new coffee, and it's called Strong Shit. That's the actual name of the coffee. It's got skull and crossbones on it, but it's a little bit too strong. So I've had to water it down. So I got coffee beans, basically. So I've put some other coffee beans in, which are less strong. But I think it's just making me thirsty. It's like it's been roasted to within an inch of its life. I've just realised we've got a symmetrical triangle break on the go as well here. I didn't spot that until I just looked at that chart. There you go. So symmetrical triangle break long, which is good. So look for a break, retest, and retest to the highs. So symmetrical triangle breakouts, you basically have multiple options for entries. So break of the triangle being first entry, break of 0.4 or kind of 0.3 would be a good add, and a break of that level would confirm a change in structure. So looking for enter, add, get out. Yeah, nice break. We got 48 seconds to go, and then we got the next news. No, strong shit, Franco, not good shit. Very strong. It's almost too strong. It is too strong, basically. It tastes a little bit burnt. It's that strong. It's good. Certainly wakes you up. Right. 15 seconds. No reaction on the DAX either off the news. There we go. More bullish euro. Those numbers certainly look a lot better than the French. A lot better. So bullish German numbers. Services, I assume, is the bullish one because that's come out just under expectation. Yeah, 53.3. That's a big, yeah. So services doing well in Europe, manufacturing not as much, which is, you know, obviously they manufacture cars, pretty much all cars. So that's kind of as forecast. So we're looking for a 42.8. We got 42.2, but services we're only looking for a 50.6. We got 53.3. So that differential is 3, which is quite high. So that's why that's come out as bullish. Euro broken last week's high. Euro CAD ADR. Okay. So let's see if we can get 125 ADR on that. Euro CAD at ADR. Euro Swiss moving up. Euro odd, just tap straight into that propulsion gap. So see if it holds. So there's your break. So we've run straight into the limit orders at last week's high. So we need to get basically through those limit orders. So we'll see how much volume they've got there to go short out of this propulsion move, which broke that low. If that fails and we manage to get through this level, there's not the, you've got this accumulation basically there. So we've got this area of potential upside resistance, is that whole area there. So basically that's your news. There's your accumulation. There's your add. So anywhere in there is going to act as potential resistance. But we've got to get through that limit block at the moment. So we'll see if we can get through there. Finally, some good news. US dollar yen attempting new highs, or has just made new highs. Come on, Japan. News feed up. Move my news over there. Keep an eye on that. So new highs on US dollar yen again. So we did manage to obviously push through last week there. We're just testing that now. So again, so this 155 level. So this is what some of the analysts are calling as the intervention level. Basically because they've got nothing else to look at historically above. So, you know, it's big round numbers basically is what we're looking for. So, you know, the Bank of Japan will be sitting there going, well, if it pushes to X, we will do something about it. It makes logical sense for them to call 155 because it's the next big round number upwards from where we are. So 155, we want to watch. If we get a test of that today, it's well within ADR. So ADR is all the way back up at 155.5. So we're 16 pips away, less than a quarter of an ADR away from that 155 level, but we need to see if they're going to get through yesterday's high first, which they are testing right now. So at any minute, as the Japanese said this morning in the news, any minute, they can just press that and go. So we'll see what happens. Morning, Ismet. Right, so that's your news this morning. Next news is at 9:30, which is the pound. So we've just butted straight into the monthly level. That's your 2-month low we've just hit there. So obviously, because we've broken out of that monthly low, any of the institutional traders that watch monthly levels will be adding into positions on that break. So we're going to hit, that's why we're hitting a bit of resistance at the actual price point of the low. But we'll see. That's good news for the pound, for the euro. So we might get through that level, but looks like it's rejecting at the minute. So pounds this afternoon. If the numbers in Europe are to go by, we might well get some bullish news out of the pound as well. Services is our key area. We don't do much manufacturing in the UK, so that number doesn't tend to really move a lot. Services is much more important. Obviously, we are the leader in banking, so services being our core sector. So we're looking at 53. So if we get anything above a 55, it'll be majorly bullish. Anything below a 51 will be majorly bearish. So 2 percentile each way, or deviation to each way, potentially will send that off today. So if we get a bull run on this today, we've got next resistance, upside resistance is 175 ADR, which is just after the reversal alert. And then we've got that area there, which is just shy of 150, 125. So that's where you may find some resistance. Failing that, more likely is going to be up at that level there. So it's got loads of room to the upside to run. There's no real support resistance. We got this double bottom on the previous week's level here as well. So it might hit that, but that's well within an ADR. So if you get positive news, you'd expect to fly beyond ADR. So plenty of room to the upside. And obviously I've got the long on the pound CAD as well, which I need to put some TPs on. I've taken second on that. I'm just going to go ADR on that. So that's the next break in structure. So if we can get ADR on that, I'll be out of those two. So I got that position, that position. That's your next upside resistance, which is obviously part of that massive propulsion move. So other than that, you're coming all the way up to there, but you're not going to get 225 ADR unless those numbers are proper bullish, but unlikely. Just look at what the yens are up to. The yens will try to make a so a big sell came in on the yen basically, which looks like it's failed, which I'm not surprised about. Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar going the wrong way. Yeah. Yeah, stuck at the minute. Be getting into the next short if we break the weekly high. So this propulsion move here is obviously what we've tested twice. So this was the news. So the New Zealand dollar interest rate remaining as expected. And then we got obviously that move down. We tested it, added, tested it, added more. New spike, added more. Yeah, so this propulsion gap is holding very, very nicely. So if you look at the market structure, it's just ugly. You know, the whole market's ugly at the moment, isn't it? But it's just really ugly structure. So since we had that news, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're on day 10, going nowhere, coming out the back of roughly a 10-day run of going nowhere after a news event. Just can't do anything with it. So if you want to get into another one, now is the time. It's a bit close for me. I won't be getting into anything unless we break that high. And if we do break that high, obviously, we've got that as a fallback, that propulsion move there, 125 ADR. But it's not really going anywhere. It's not going the right way for me, which is down, but it's not, you know, it's gone up. But till it breaks that high, not doing anything, is it? Just stuck. Everything is stuck. I'm working on a breakout strategy, which I'm testing at the moment, for when all these interest rates change. So I'm going to start trading in line with the trend when the interest rates change. I'm going to dump RSI, I think, for the rest of this year. And just use market structure pullbacks, which RSI will be part of. But I get the feeling some of these drops, because the euro and the pound are going before the US, I get the feeling some of these drops are going to be quite substantial. You can imagine the US dollar not dropping interest rates and powering up while the euro and the pound are dropping interest rates. Those majors are going to come down really fast, because if you've got a US dollar driving headlong while these guys are dropping, it's going to be quite a big drop. So I get the feeling if you look at some of these moves, you're going to find it hard, I think, to get RSI extensions to the upside on the way down, because we're more likely just going to do flag breaks. If that US dollar does remain strong, that is, obviously. So looking for just breakouts, basically. So using fib pullbacks and breakouts, pullbacks into the MAs. Yeah, so test of 24. Usual trend stuff, because I get the feeling we are going to start to trend this year. Now, Euro CAD on my chart is gapping. Probably bad broker data if you've got gaps. I know, I have as well. Yeah. So no, low liquidity. So that was the second news. That was the German news. Very strong. Looking good. Wouldn't want to take a mean reversion on these at the moment, but then you never know. At the moment, you just can't really tell what the hell anything is going to do, can you? It's just impossible at the minute to figure out where anything. Well, obviously nothing's going anywhere, is it? But it's all about the news, and that is the news today. So fingers crossed we get a continuation rally, but don't hold out your hopes of getting much higher than that if you're in it. That's all I've got for you today. There's not a lot else really to discuss. Nothing's really changed from yesterday. I went through all the pairs yesterday, but as I said yesterday, it's very difficult to pick anything at the moment because we are just doing this all the time. So it's just a case of waiting for news events, and you've got to just at the minute hope that you're on the right side of the news. So I'm going to do some work this week on. There's a couple of things I want to do this week. First of all is buy a scorecard. Obviously, at the moment, the buy a scorecard is not very useful because it's not about what the current situation is with interest rates and inflation. It's about what is happening. So I kind of want to do I'm going to have to do it manually because I don't think there's any way to do this automatically. But I want to kind of use the buy a scorecard, but along the lines of forecasting rather than actual data. So all of this data is obviously what is now. I want to look for sources at the moment for like the dot plots you get from the Fed as to where we expect interest rate changes to happen, and sort of plot out what the talking heads are saying and use that more as a bias, because I think we need to get a trend bias going now, because things are going to start to move in the next few months very, very quickly, I think. And the rate of drop should be similar, I think, to the rate of incline that we had on the 18-month rally. So we will be coming down in 0.25% increments or 0.5% increments pretty much on a monthly basis for a lot of these currencies, meaning that the bias, the trouble with using a bias scorecarding system, and this is what the banks use as well, but the banks obviously use forward guidance as well, which is why we're watching for FOMC press conferences and Lagarde speaking to give clues as to what they're going to do, because we know what they've done. But this doesn't change until the interest rate crosses. Yeah. So where you've got a 5.5 on the US and a 4.25, for example, on the Aussie, until that becomes lower than 4.25, that -1 or +1 number doesn't change. So this bias is only going to change based on COT, which very rarely changes at the moment, and retail. So retail is the only thing that's really going to drive these biases up and down, because these numbers aren't really going to be changing anytime soon. So since I built this thing, as soon as I built this thing, we started that massive 18-month interest rate rally, and it became pretty much useless, didn't it? So I want to try and build something along this sort of lines, but looking at, right, what is the Fed going to be doing? So the Fed is going to be changing their interest rates. Their forecast is somewhere between September to December. Yeah. So that makes them neutral to bullish, because the euro is moving theirs down in June. So that makes them definitely bearish. If that is bearish and that is neutral to bullish because they're not doing it until then, we know we should be doing absolutely nothing but shorting the euro US dollar. So it's just trying to find ways to get in. So again, you can still use RSI. RSI extensions to the upside, short it. ADR hits to the upside, short it. Accumulations, take breakout shorts. Fib pullbacks to 50%, hit it. Yeah. So there's any opportunity to get in short with any strategy. Obviously, still position trading in case, because we're never going to get the entry right, are we? But still position trading. But I really want to have a bias. And you can't use this, the normal trend biases, which is the daily 72.24, until the trend has started, right? So until we actually get that initial interest rate drop, then we can start using the 24.72 for pullbacks and flags and that sort of stuff. But I just want to get a bias set up on my EAs so that they don't start getting me into things like this, euro US dollar long. I want out because it's not the right way to be going on it. Yeah, look, if we can get up to there, fantastic. But that I would not want to be. I don't want to long this at the moment. So, and obviously things now. We've had this period of a year where we've had absolutely no clue as to what's going on with anything because we've just been frozen. Interest rates have been frozen for nearly 12 months now. It probably is 12 months on some currencies. So we now know that they are going to start dropping. So it's really easy to pick a trend direction, isn't it? We know what's going to be happening. But this is the guy that's screwing everybody at the moment because we keep getting completely mixed signals. Lagarde, really clear. Swiss, already done it, really clear. Pound, really clear. Yeah. Aussie, New Zealand, no clue. They haven't given us any guidance. Japan, change of wind direction, change of direction. So this is all we're waiting for. So it's really clear for the next 3 to 6 months, if the Fed are not going to do that interest rate drop until the end of the year, until the winter, we short everything against the US dollar. So it's pretty simple. No. We just need to find strategy entry criteria. So again, RSI, anything that pulls back, anything that pushes hard is going to pull back as a profit take. Still getting those opportunities, but I just don't want to be going the wrong way, because if this does get to the point where the Fed turn around and go, actually, we've bounced twice, we're going to have to put the interest rates up, everything's going to collapse because the US dollar is going to power up and drive everything down really fast. So squeezes are going to be everywhere if it happens, obviously. So I want to put something together that gives me some kind of visual guide as to, when rates are likely to change. And it's kind of going to be listening to the talking heads. So the guard comes out and says 0.25%. And then someone else from the ECB comes out and says 0.5% is not off the cards. Right, let's go with 0.33. Let's split the difference. That is even more bearish for the euro than if everybody was saying a 0.25. Yeah, so I want to come up with something kind of visual to help just see. But it's everything down, isn't it? Still position trading the breakout strategy. Yeah. So a breakout strategy, I used to trading stocks. I'm building an EA at the moment to test this. It's a strategy I used to trade in the stocks. So that's probably not a bad example. So I only ever used to buy, never sell stocks, always buy stocks. So in fact, that's a really stupid example because it's a bear trend. US dollar yen will be a good example. So baseline breakouts basically is what I used to trade, swing trade. So you basically wait for something to base and then you take a breakout. We know that a vast majority of breakouts are false breakouts. So when you get stuck in an accumulation period, you get false breakout and it just comes back in. Then you get false breakout, wick off spring, and then it goes back in. It tries again, then it accumulates for a bit, and then it comes down. And that's basically it. So at one of the points, that stock is going to break. Yeah, that's the trade you take. if it breaks hard, you add here, and then you add here. By the time you've got here, you've got 2 to 3 positions on. And what you'll find is that moving average is now going up. So you can basically take any accumulation back into the moving average and add. Just add on every break of every accumulation. But trends, and you can go and look at this on most charts, you will find only moving 3 stages, 3 pushes. And then we tend to start the down cycle. So I'm building an EA basically to trade that. But because we don't know which is going to be the breakout, yeah. So, you know, if you started that high there, you might have taken that. That was wrong. So you would add on the pullback. So the idea of the strategy is we take a break. If it works, fantastic, we'll add. And then we'll add. If it doesn't work, we'll add. Because this accumulation, if that breakout fails, is going to carry on, isn't it? So I want to add down there and move my price to get a better price because I'm going to add more as we go. So with everything we've got at the moment that is basing, we're in Forex, obviously, we're looking the opposite. We're not going to be buying, we're going to be selling. So euro, US dollar, going to do that. Yeah. So that's a 15-minute chart. So the first push back into the 2472 zone is where we want to start adding a position. Yeah. And take no more than one, probably C3, 2, 3. So one push, accumulation. It's a really ugly accumulation, but 2 pushes, accumulation, 3 pushes, out. Yeah, it tends to move in 3 cycles. 1, it's a news event. 2, 3. Currently doesn't work on this chart, but it's a stock strategy. This is Forex. It's a different market, but the principle's the same. You can't time the entry because you don't know when they're going to make the move. You know that they're going to make the move out of the accumulation at some point. So we can add, maybe add another one up at the 72. So you could maybe get into 3, but I wouldn't want to take more than 3 because if you go further than that, it's wrong, isn't it? So that's basically what I'm building, that model at the moment, so that I've got an EA that can trade that mechanism basically when it starts to go, and I want to test it as well. But yeah, so that's what I will be doing over the coming months. Basically, is just trying to get that get into these trends and hold them as much as possible. So kind of swing trading, really. But you can get out anytime you like. So when, if you got in there, for example, I mean, this is a news event, but, and that happens, and then you added on that break there. Yeah, you can get out here and then, get back in again, start a new position. But ideal, obviously, would be to hold them. Just trying to find a trend. I'm just trying to think of a good example. Daily. Yeah, that's a good example. So you got accumulation 1. It's not really a good example. I mean, that was the euro US dollar drop after COVID. So, I mean, that was when the Eurozone shut, basically. We couldn't go on holiday to Europe with the euro. But, look. Then you got that leg. And you got that leg. This one just carried on going, obviously. This was the trend of the century, wasn't it? But each of these is an accumulation, and then a new leg down, then an accumulation, then a new leg down, then an accumulation, then a new leg down, and then another accumulation. But it's more of a flag, break, new leg down, flag. But that whole thing you could class as an accumulation, new leg down. See, this is where the accuracy you can't get. Yeah, so you're going to scale into 2 or 3 positions on these pullbacks because you're not going to get it right. But the 2472 is what we use in a trend. It's the monthly, quarterly moving averages. If the 24 ad fails, the 72 ad typically works. So you're just basically finding an accumulation, taking a breakout of it. After the breakout, the pullback to the 24, the 72 is your additional entries in the position. But you never know when a trend is going to end. So if you only take entry on the first leg, second leg, out on the third, that is typically when you'll start that pullback. It's typical trend trading strategy, and it's to say it's an old stock trading strategy, which has worked for decades. Go and look at the S&P 500 in a normal market. Yeah, you cannot fail in a normal market. But we are going back into normality. We're going to go back into trends, aren't we? So, but yeah, so yeah, I want to get some more fundamentals in place that I can go, this is why you need to be doing this. And then obviously just trade it. Euro US dollars stalled, like limit orders, push them back. See, this is why I do not want to be long on this. I should really have got out of break even on that, but I didn't. Never mind. Right, so what's your ADRs today? We've got no more news on the euro. We've got the Eurozone numbers coming out in 3 minutes. But these will come out as... I might as well watch them. I'll stay on until these are gone. We might as well watch them, but it's going to be bullish. We know that because we've just had the news. But yeah, another way you can trade that as well, you know, if you're going to get into trends, you can set stop losses on all the trades. So when you're getting into these trends, give yourself, you know, 3 ADR for a pullback, 2 ADR. I mean, what's an ADR on Euro US dollar at the moment? Actually, you need to know what it was there. But, you know, so if you get into a trade, you can use a stop loss, give yourself sort of a 2 or 3 ADR pullback. If it's more than that, trend's probably changing direction and you want to be out. Yeah. But what you'll find is you're just on a larger pullback, aren't you? So, but I would personally be position trading it rather than using stops. Morning, Gav. Right, let's quickly look at what happens with this last bit of Euro news, which is coming out in 1 minute. So we might get another rally off of it, but we know it's bullish. So it's whether or not the market decides it wants to push it today. The other thing that will help this the euro is if the pound news comes out positive, because obviously we're strong trade partners with euro. So that will potentially give the euro a little bit more of a boost this afternoon, or this morning rather, at 9:30 when we get the pound news. 20 seconds. How can that be bearish? Come on. News hasn't been released yet. It hasn't come through on the stream anyway. Okay. So, yeah, as you can see, it's negative because we had negative and a negative, and it's positive because we had a positive and a positive. So, services PMI is positive, manufacturing bearish, but the manufacturing miss is 0.9, whereas the hit is 1.1, so it's ever so slightly more bullish than bearish. Nothing dramatic. And as you can see, market doesn't care because it's already had the information. Right. So that's all I've got for you today. So bear in mind, today you've got the pound coming out at 9:30. And then the big one this afternoon is the US at 2:45. So I'll be watching that closely. Obviously, keep a very close eye on this US dollar yen today. Well, that was a delayed reaction. That news has literally just come through. Yeah, so obviously keep an eye on this today. We have just tried to take yesterday's high and obviously, as you can see, failed. But if they do break this level, we are so close to that 155. And if there is a line in the sand, the Japanese have always said there is no line, there is no number that we're watching. If there is a number they're watching, because obviously they don't do what they say, that's going to be it. So if we do get a test of that today, it could be a very big get that bag, as Franco's just said. Yeah, there's going to be a big bag. The bag will be 800, 4 to 800 ADR. Yeah, so measure it out on your charts. Do not, if you see a candle going at 200 ADR, do not get out. Yeah, it's just the start. Yeah, so 200 ADR is there. A typical intervention move will be somewhere between 4 to 800 ADR. So 400 ADR is that. 800 ADR, I'm going to have to go out, is that. Yeah, so that's what we've had previously on interventions. So, don't get out if you see it break that low. Yeah, that's my break evens there at the moment. Yeah, I'm not interested until we get to here or here of exiting. Yeah, this has got to be a payday, proper payday. I've been waiting weeks. So you're going to pay me if you ever do it. Right, so I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's live room is in the afternoon because tomorrow's news is none. Oh, there is no news tomorrow, is there? Yeah. So we've got the CPI tomorrow for the Australian dollar, and then it's just retail sales for the CAD in the afternoon. So I'm going to be trading the US Open tomorrow. We'll trade the stock market open. I'll do some trading on the indexes because there's no news, so we might get some decent movement on the indices. So I'll trade that tomorrow afternoon. We'll do an FX analysis as usual, see if there's anything exciting going on. So I'll be on at 2:20 tomorrow in 10 minutes before the open. And then we'll do a bit of that, have a look at the FX, see if there's anything interesting happening. But as I say, at the minute, we are in pause mode on everything, just waiting for something to happen. And this is the one I think that is going to kick it off, potentially, if they ever do anything about it. All right, so have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow. Anything you need, I'll be in Telegram or Discord. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. All right, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next stream.